All right.
How you doing, Brandon?
Things have changed.
We're in the flesh. I actually prefer there to be a 20-mile buffer between us, but here we are. We've got a little studio. Oh, hey guys, we got a studio. We've got some viewers. I'm assuming at least one or two.
A few. Well, I will say this: the MMA bets and breakdowns checks, they've been clearing heavy, so it afforded us this studio, afforded us, a little different way of life.
A little different way of life. So we've got a studio, you guys. So a happy New Year. New Year, new us. New Year, new you. We don't care about you. We care about us. We are here. We've got a little studio. Took us a while to kind of get everything situated and going. We had 4 weeks off from fights. I feel like a lot has happened. A lot has happened. I mean, just in the MMA community.
Oh boy,
a couple podcasters are no longer podcasting.
We're knocking them off one by one. This was actually my plan all along, was to get the authorities involved and get some underlings going and take them out one by one. So we're the only game in town now.
Well, it's working. All we have to do, we don't have to be better than anyone. We just have to last longer. We're like roaches in a nuclear holocaust. We just have to wait for everybody else to die. And here we are. Like, now we rule the world.
Now we are probably the best podcast that has a neon sign left running. So you got no place to turn but here.
Man, what'd you do? I mean, we have Christmas that went on. We have New Year's. We've got, it's been a long time.
Wow. Yeah. So this is, obviously last year, October changed everything for me. So I've been spending pretty much the majority of my time trying to figure out where to go and what to do with everything that has come my way. So these last few weeks, actually, I broke my ankle wrestling. So I had these plans of going to Hawaii and traveling and being this globetrotter. All that went out the window when I broke my ankle. I had to sit around the house and do nothing. I did go to Vegas maybe 3 or 4 times once with C-Rod, once with a few other people. So that's pretty much it. I bought a house and that's it. I've been keeping to myself. I haven't been gambling because the same mistake I made last year, I lost like $10,000 on ping pong sitting bored in my house. So I didn't make the same mistake this year. I kept disciplined and kept it on track, ready for the new season. What about you?
Not a thing has changed. Not a single thing. Like my kids' flag football season ended. Now they're on break. Their basketball season started, and here we are. That's pretty much from the last time we spoke on camera till now. Is that
fatherhood never sleeps? It always goes.
It really doesn't. You called, was it yesterday, the day before? I'm putting together a basketball hoop. You're like, hey, we gotta finish the podcast room and do stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I'm putting together a basketball hoop, and this is my life right now. So that was it. I mean, there's nothing really. I mean, it's good. I like boring, though. I used to be wild. I used to do stuff. I have done everything that you could possibly imagine doing in life. And so I'm 40 and I have zero regrets. Like, I'm not going to be one of these guys that goes through a midlife crisis because I got married too young or I didn't do this or I didn't experience that. I'm like, dude, give me boredom. Anything beyond boredom is too much for me at this point.
Well, I know so this is actually a funny story. Like, a long time ago, I've been with you since I was 18. I'm 26 now, so 8 years or so. I think I came to you at 18. And I remember for Christmas one year, Kamwela Kirk, who just got his fight announced, and we wanted to get you a whiskey. Oh. A very nice whiskey, a Blanton's whiskey. But, little did we know, we don't drink, me and Kamwela. We just train and work and do nothing else. We didn't know how rare that was. So I remember having to go on this wild goose chase. I wasn't of age yet. I was like 19 years old or 20 years old. We're going store to store trying to find this Blanton's whiskey, and somebody found it in the hood for me, the beat up box on the last bottle on the last shelf. And I remember for years you tried to get me to drink it. You'd say, hey, try this beer and this whiskey. And I'm like, oh, you're crazy. This tastes like motor oil. And finally this year I said, I came over to your house and you said, all right, let's have wine. And I said, no. Let's go for the Blantons. Let's try this one more time. And this time, it actually tastes delicious. I think that's how I know I'm maturing in life.
That's how you know you're grown up, when you can drink whiskey without spitting it out. And we polished off like a third of a bottle or like a half a bottle.
Yeah, we did some good work.
Horrible.
The reason I even bring that up was because you were telling me about your life. And so we have all this cool stuff here, different books. We try to kind of make everything that's, some random knickknacks, some stuff that's close to us. And I think these walls and these little stuff is going to change just over time. But one thing that's missing is your memoir.
Oh, yeah.
I had no idea about your life, and I still haven't because I forgot how to read. And I've been in plenty of airports with plenty of free time, and I still haven't read it. But I think the memoir is missing somewhere up here.
Oh, yeah, there is no memoir up there. Well, I'm not worried about it.
All right, check it out on Amazon. We got our sponsors, Scotch and Soda and Starbucks. And, yeah, I think we should get into the fights.
It is. Hey, before we get into the fights, you guys, actually, of course, check out the Patreon, where, of course, we do all of our bets. So we give the bets there, and you get access to our Discord as well. It's only $25 a month. It's like $6 a week. But also, you guys, go to our website, MMABreakdowns.com, and sign up for our newsletter. We're going to start doing a weekly newsletter where we are going to give you a free bet and some other just information, just one a week, Friday, nothing crazy, day before fight day, and we'll give you one bet. And some other goodies in there too on a newsletter. We're not going to spam you. We're not going to go crazy, but sign up for that. We'll give you some stuff. And then eventually, we've talked about this, but we haven't figured it out. We're going to give a kind of a prize or a drawing or something at some point for that newsletter. We're just getting out right now. The website and everything is kind of just going. So over the hopefully by next week, we kind of figured out what we're going to do drawing wise and prize wise of people who sign up for the newsletter at our website. So MMABreakdowns.com. The link will be in the show notes. Discord stuff in the show notes. Let's talk some fights.
Well, I do want to address that really, really quickly. Last year, guys, first of all, what a wild ride it's been. Everyone came along with us from the start, December of last year. Now it's January. We're heading into season 2 of betting and gambling and everything. And, there's been times last year where I felt like, man, this is deep. Like, I need a break. I need a breather. I think we both kind of felt that just between the tape study and fight cards every week. And you're traveling and doing all kinds of stuff. And I know there had been some stuff with MMA Lock of the Night. I just want to talk about that really quickly. One thing is, I think you and I are stubborn, but we can be changed. Our mind can be changed. And he gave us a good start. He was a nice guy. I think everybody pretty much revered him in the community as the nice guy, and he was very good to us, and probably the reason we even started this in general.
I got to stop. He was absolutely the reason why I got into this. Eddie Chow, who coaches with me, got me hooked up with Lock of the Night. Was like, hey, will you do this thing? I was actually driving to Vegas I was driving to Vegas, and he was telling me about it, and I agreed to it. And so then I got to the hotel, and I was just watching film the whole time because I was like, man, I don't want to go on there and not know anything. And so I went on there with Locke, and he was like, dude, you could absolutely do this. Why don't you have, he's like, I see you have a YouTube thing. Why don't you put stuff up? You should absolutely do this. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And that's when I talked with you, and we're like, let's do it. So anyway, sorry, I just want to digress there.
No, that's okay, because I was trying to kind of say it lightly, but yeah, he is the reason that we started this. I was doing my own thing. I was running a free Telegram group at the time. We didn't have an idea for a podcast. And then after that, we said, hey, what if we do this thing? And we almost combined the two worlds. Presented with new information. He stole a ton of money from a lot of people and gave every reason and every runabout. One thing that I do feel proud of with what we have built here, first and foremost, guys, I made $1.2 million last year gambling. That's not including my regular day job and everything else that we have. So I don't need your money. You own a gas station. You coach at 2 gyms. I think we're good on money. We don't need your money. I think the thing that we wanted when we were deciding pricing for all of this, we wanted it to be where people don't feel like they're being took. If we had a day that we needed off or something happened or, we weren't as detailed in one week or the other, we didn't want people to feel like they're being took. So $25, I think, for a month is pretty entry level. You get me, you get Santino, you get a ton of other people in the group who honestly just throughout the year have learned so much about tape study and what we look for. And honestly, these guys are just as good as me now. I mean, they give me my cliff notes and then I just go and verify, and it's been amazing. So I guess I'm saying all this to say, guys, I don't want to feel bad about pushing a Patreon anymore. For so long I did. I felt scummy, like I'm asking everything of everybody, but I'm good with money. I did my damage. I won the game already, so I could quit, and I've done better than 99.9% of gamblers ever. It's a great community. We're not asking you guys for money. We're not holding your money. We're not running contests. At the end of the day, I want to cash tickets like you do. We all have some selfish interest here or there, but at the same time, it's $25 a month, guys. We're not asking you for $200 packages. We're not skinny bets screaming about fake injuries and this and that. We're just real dudes. We study, we know film, and we all want to make some money together. So go sign up for the Patreon, guys. I'm actually, we have 300 people on there, and we did almost no promotion. I don't even have a link on anything, not Twitter, not Instagram. I don't think you do either. Almost nothing, and we still got 300 people riding with us. So I'm excited to see where this all can go in the new year.
Yeah, 1 year in, this is fun. Let's go.
All right,
let's go. Man, well, let's get into this week's fights. It's been a while. Oh, and LFA killed it just the other day as well. We didn't do a show or anything. A lot of you guys are probably sad. But, man, everyone, LFA, that was just, LFA, though, that's like shooting fish in a barrel.
Sometimes. And then you get these minus 800 favorites that blow it, you know. So this year, guys, my motto, my New Year's, I didn't think about many New Year's resolutions. Did you?
I don't do New Year's resolutions. Okay. I'm opposed to them.
It's actually one of my favorite things because I think everybody needs to strive to be better. For me, gambling this year, meat and potatoes. I'm just going to say it over and over and over again. Just meat and potatoes. Keep it simple. Meat and potatoes. Don't overthink it. Just clean, clean, clean. When I lost so much money last year is because I'm like trying to bet every fight. I'm live and I'm like, oh, this guy's going to win. Throwing reckless stuff. Meat and potatoes, and that's going to rescue you for sure.
I love it. It's really, I mean, you and I have talked about it before. A lot of it is really similar to stocks. If you guys really want to learn about actually, it's funny. I didn't even read the article. It was on Bloomberg, and I don't have a subscription. I need to get a subscription to Bloomberg. But it's like $300-$400 a year. And I'm like, gosh, I just don't know. And I'm like, man, I think I want to justify it because I love Bloomberg. I love Bloomberg News. I'm like kind of a finance business nut. So I subscribe to Forbes because it's like, I think I paid like $69 for the year. And I was like, okay. But Bloomberg, and I'm like, man, I really don't like Forbes. I mean, it's fine, but Bloomberg. Anyway, there was a thing. It was actually a lot of Wall Street banks and investment bankers and stockbrokers and stuff. They actually train their brokers and their traders on poker and actually a lot of different poker stuff. The similarities between the stock market and gambling are insane. So if you guys really want to learn, really deep dive, and I don't know how many books there are on poker and gambling and sports gambling, but there's a lot of books on the stock market. And so learn about the stock market, learn about trading, learn about units, learn about bankroll and time and holding and this and that. And a lot of that stuff is very applicable to sports betting. And you'll learn a lot.
Don't be like me, guys. Maybe that's the hardest problem people have with my styles. I've never done units or anything. So people, if you guys join and you have questions, ask everybody. They just kind of take my amount.
But here's actually something. The reason why you're successful is because you don't hedge. And one thing Warren Buffett says, there's a thing where in stocks you buy at different levels. And you want to be a little bit more conservative. So if you want to diversify, and Warren Buffett says, he's like, I don't believe in diversification. He's like, that diversifying and hedging means that you're making bad decisions or you're not 100% in agreement with your own decisions. He's like, go all in, do your stuff. So, I mean, that's...
I absolutely do hedge now. I think guaranteed money is smarter. I absolutely do hedge. I do when I feel conviction in my heart. I bet it, but if I hit the last leg, like even LFA, for example, I knew Felipe Buenas was going to win the main event, but I absolutely did hedge because I don't want to have a bad, sour night. I'd rather take the guaranteed money. So I do hedge, but I do feel my conviction.
But you won the money that you won because you went all in. You were
true.
willing on your own convictions. You spent a lot of time researching that BKFC card, and you went all in, and you put a lot of money, and a lot of people are mad at you because they didn't have the balls to put the money in at that level, and they did all this other stuff and didn't put it in, and they hedged, and they this, and they that, and you're like, I'm going. You weren't. I'm going. I'm throwing money in.
I told everyone, burn the ships.
Yep.
We're going for it.
So anyway, let's get into this night's fight. Hopefully we don't have any technical issues. It's just kind of us here. Stuff is not set up like correctly. I wish you guys could see behind us where somebody didn't pick up the tripods, and he's like, oh, I just picked up the cords that you told me to. And then he looks back in the text like, oh yeah, pick up 2 tripods too. So hopefully we're good with technical
Well, when you
stuff.
put it as a run-on sentence, who the hell knows what that means? You put 9 items in one sentence.
All right. First fight of the night, we've got Priscila Cachoeira and Sijara Eubanks. I want you to start on this because you have a long-standing relationship with Sarge. And for good or bad, you've better sometimes, not better other times, but that's kind of I feel like you know Sarge well, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this before I chime in on your Sarge.
Well, let's first of all talk. This is back at 135. Sarge has been off for over a year now, so it's going to be 13 months since she fought last, where she lost to Melissa Gatto. Let's see. In her last 4 fights, she's got 1 win over Elise Reed, who was short notice and up a weight class, who honestly is pretty small. I mean, she could be an atomweight pretty much. Yeah, this is tough. So I thought a lot about this fight, and when this line first came out, I was refreshing this every morning. I was going to crash this line. I was just going to, whatever, I'm going to crash this line because this fight looks like a lot of recency bias to me, right? You've had Priscila, who came out and starched Ariane Lipski. She had that really good fight with Jian Kim. She's looked great, but these girls have also been giving her the style that she needs to look and feel successful. Gina Mazzani was taking her down at will, took her down 100 times. And the only reason that fight went sour is because the ref stood him up. If the ref doesn't stand him up, maybe Gina gets, another minute of rest. She repeats the same thing in the 3rd round. The problem with Priscila is she's just got these stone hips. They're just, when she's down, she's down. And now you're going against Sijara Eubanks, who I can't remember all of her accolades, but I remember when I was on the scene, she was huge with Team Lloyd Irvin. She was a really good black belt. She was always competing with the best of them. And she can wrestle better than a lot of the girls that, I mean, honestly, most of the girls can't wrestle. And Sijara has at least something, which is more than nothing. She took down Gatto. She won that first round. She looks good. All things equal, I think Sijara wins this fight. Now, you always have to count on things like the gas tank of Sijara, which obviously is a problem. The recklessness of Priscila is definitely something to be worried about, but I think that this is a fight made for Sijara to win. I think she's going to take her down. I think she's going to grind her out. I think Priscila swings too wild, and it's going to give too many openings for Sarge to jump underneath. And I think she takes home probably a decision or a ground and pound knockout.
Man, I spent too much time. These are always the fights that we spend too much time on film.
Yeah.
Because a fight like this, and like this isn't. I don't even know if I would bet this fight because, well, one, I can't bet anymore, but stupid UFC and rules and stuff like that. But like you watch this, and that's the thing is, can Sarge get the takedown, or can Priscila keep it standing? And we always say it, don't bet bad fighters. And I think both of these have their bad. I would say Sarge is a worse fighter in terms of like the stuff that you look for. Not to say that she's not going to win some fights and stuff, but when you say like Priscilla is a bad fighter, like, yeah, she is a bad fighter in terms of like betting and the stuff, checking the boxes of like what is a good fighter. But I think Sarge checks less boxes of like what is a good fighter. But I think these two are both relatively bad fighters. The thing is, I mean, Priscila, she is just a zombie, and she's called the zombie girl. I mean, she just walks in. She doesn't know what a jab is. She like reaches, cocks back, throws these punches from Brazil, and it's like you see them coming a mile away, which is going to allow Sarge to get that takedown and to really do that. The issue is Sarge, her wrestling's not good. And I mean, it's not good at all. She has a blast double. And if she gets it from the blast double, she will get it. she does not chain wrestle. If they stop, if she runs people to the cage and doesn't get the takedown right then, she does not get the takedown. It's not like she chains and goes and this and that. It's like blast double or not. And that's in round 1. After round 1, her shots become worse and worse and worse. And Priscila, although she does have stone hips, she will kick and wiggle and try to get up. And she has gotten up in a couple of her last fights, even being on the back.
I wanted to say that about Priscila because that's really funny that you say that. I'm looking at her. She's got these stone heavy hips, like almost reminds me of Carol Rosa, like when she fought Sarah McMahon.
Yep.
I'm like, if she goes down, she's not getting up. But weirdly, she moves so much and she wiggles so much. And standing up, she's so stiff and rigid, but yet kind of moves well at the same time. And I cannot figure it out with her.
What it is, I think, is this, is I think when she gets taken down, she's too content to play on her back for too long before she tries to get back up. But once she tries to get back up, I feel like she actually does. I feel like she actually does get back up. And even the shot and the takedown defense, she's not great, but she is strong. I think Priscilla's going to win this. I think she's going to get taken down in round 1. I think that is going to completely gas Sarge out. I think her just and Priscila, for as bad as she is in so many things that she does, she's got cardio and she'll keep going. And that is going to freak Sarge out. And, I mean, we even saw Jillian Robertson got the takedown, but that was out in the open. And Jillian can wrestle and she scrambles and she goes. She's not a cage wrestler. And so I think for any of these, you see it a lot with the Brazilians. They do a really good job of just nullifying the takedown on the cage. You take them down out in the open, things are different. I think Sarge she has to rely on a cage takedown, which I don't think she's going to be able to get after round 1. And her cardio is just that bad. And I think all things considered, the volume and the pressure and the fight of Priscila, like, I don't know. I got to go Priscila on this. I got to go. And I'm not going to fight you on it. I'm not going to bet you money. I won't even bet you $1, but I really do think Priscila is going to win this.
Yeah, and I had hesitation too. That's why when I was refreshing the lines and I'm like, oh, I'm going to crash this on Sarge, I had second thoughts. I had hesitations. So just principle and styles wise, I feel Sarge is going to win, but I'm not going to put a big chunk of change on this one.
Yep. If Sarge had 2 rounds of cardio, I would throw the book on Sarge. I would do it. But she has 1 round of cardio, and then after that, it's a wrap. So if two pump Sarge, we're in. 1 pump, we're out. All right, next up, we've got Jimmy Flick and Charles Johnson. I'll go on here, and so you guys just, I mean, I'm not trying to like text on my phone and not pay attention. We're just looking at the lines here. We haven't figured this studio out 100%
We're
yet.
getting there. I think it looks cool. It looks like we're too busy for this.
Yeah, we're just like, I'm not even. Oh, you talking to me?
Are we here?
Oh,
okay.
Hold on. Let me finish this text. So we got Jimmy Flick and we have Charles Johnson. And, I mean, Jimmy Flick he's a sub or bust guy. You know, he's got to get the submission or not. We saw it with Durden. The thing with Durden, though, is I think the gods were on his side on that one because, yes, he did submit Durden, but he threw a head kick. Durden kind of caught it, and they kind of fell into a triangle. It wasn't like he jumped to a flying triangle. It was kind of a thing. But what I was actually impressed with, it was a couple fights ago with Jimmy Flick. I'm pulling it up right here. He fought a kid who was Greg Fisher, 10-1. Beat him with an arm triangle choke, 38 seconds of round 1. And Flick's wrestling is not great, but he shot in, did not get the takedown, and then redirected and turned the corner and re-ran a double really nicely against a really good wrestler. So that alone was nice. The thing with Flick, he does all of the right stuff. Adversity, I think, freaks him out. I think when people are actually there to fight him, if you look at his record, he has lost to all of the good people who can kind of get through a round. He's one of those guys that you just see them. They don't want to fight. They don't like to fight. And when adversity comes, they go in there so hot that anything happens and it doesn't work, they're like, get me out of here. I mean, I think he's decent. Charles Johnson, the thing is his output is low. He's 1-1, I think, in the UFC now. And I was on Johnson with Mokaev. I was 100% wrong there. I was on Johnson against Zalgis.
Tight one.
Hey, we got the win. We got the win. All right. He's so low output. He does so much stuff so well, but then he just doesn't. There's something there. The thing though is, I think Johnson actually has really good jiu-jitsu. I think his jiu-jitsu is good.
Yeah.
I think he does the right stuff. He knows to stand up. His volume is low. He's got to get through round 1, and then he's just got to put enough. He just has to do enough for Jimmy Flick to be uncomfortable enough to panic. And if he can do that, I think he gets the win. I like Johnson here. You like Flick, though. You put a bunch of money on Flick and move the lines, right? Like, so you're on the opposite side of this as me.
Oh my goodness, what a whirlwind week! This was too funny. So I went to celebrate New Year's in Las Vegas, and then I flew back. I'm dating this new girl, so we land back in Phoenix, and the lines come out, so I'm a little bit late, 30 minutes late or so, and I just see that, okay, lines have been released. Charles Johnson was minus 135. So by the time I log on, he's minus 200. And I'm like, oh, well, I don't like sub or bust guys. And I know Charles Johnson. I know him very well. I bet every single fight of Charles Johnson's since he fought Carly Pangilinan or whatever his name is. So I max bet it, as anyone would do. And I posted on the Discord, and then about an hour later, I'm seeing this stuff that's like the Krause effect. This fight should be pulled from all the books. There's Reddit threads on me. There's all kinds of stuff. All I did was bet an opener, then there was all these guys that I have to talk about, right? They're like, why bet openers, guys? I don't know about you, but $5,000 is a lot of money to me. $5,000 to me is a lot of money. So I bet $10,000 to win $5,000 on Charles Johnson. Now I have free arbitrage because everybody has piled on to this. So now I get to enjoy my Saturday risk-free with a possibility of making $2,000, which to me, again, is a lot. But guys, please, inside information. I've met Charles Johnson 2 times. So one was for Vanessa's fight week because he was fighting Zalgas. He was in the same locker room, said, hey, what's up? See you later. The second time, I didn't really meet him. He was sitting behind us when his buddy Joaquin Buckley fought Chris Curtis just a few weeks ago. That was pretty depressing as his buddy gets knocked out and he's sitting right behind me. But guys, come on. There's no inside information. There's no Krause-Minner effect. Those lines move easily. Like you can do that with any regional event. You can do that with, it's rare with the UFC that I've seen, but that's the first time I've ever bet a UFC opener. I've never done it before.
Really?
Yeah, never done it before. So kind of cool. Anyways, I don't love the sub or bust guys, but I was hoping that Jimmy Flick was worse than he was.
Yeah.
He's not
bad. He's not bad. He's decent, and he's a good jiu-jitsu guy, and his wrestling is decent. Again, it's what I said. He's good. I think adversity is what crumbles him.
Yeah, he just doesn't fuck off, and I wish he would fuck off sometimes. So that Fisher fight actually was super impressive. Like, you know me, guys. I'm not huge on the jiu-jitsu. I get so annoyed with jiu-jitsu guys, but when I see something that I'm like, wow, that head and arm choke, although I would never recommend doing it in a fight, very impressive. He locked that thing up so quick, so tight. That was gorgeous, right?
Yeah.
His striking is not great, but there has been fights where it has looked decent enough to kind of stay safe, and him just to shoot in takedowns and spam takedowns until he's going to get something. So I like Charles Johnson. I think he's got a great jab. I think he's got all the skills in the world. One thing that he did say was that he had been working on his jiu-jitsu. He said he wanted to submit Zalgas. And I said, interesting.
Okay.
I don't think you have the advantage there, but interesting. I think Charles is just the better fighter overall. I think he's got a long jab. I think he's got very educated striking. If his ego doesn't take over, he should win this easily. If he thinks he's safe in a position and he doesn't fight it, could he get subbed? Absolutely, 100%. But for me, I'm on Charles Johnson. I have $10,000 that says so. I will probably hedge out of my position a little bit, so at least I can have a stress-free Saturday night.
I like it. I mean, if you look just really quickly, I want to go Flick's record. He lost to Ray Rodriguez.
Which not a good loss.
No, but Ray's actually tough. I think he has looked really bad in the UFC. He had in Contender Series, but I think that's another guy. I think the pressure got to him, and I think it freaked him out. But if you look at Rodriguez on the regional scene, he's not bad. I don't think he's a guy who's ever going to beat the good guys, but I actually am. I don't think he's as bad as people think. He lost to Chris Gutierrez. Levi Moles, Chris Gutierrez in Muay Thai, and then Will Campuzano. So
not bad losses.
No, but those are all the guys that you've heard of he's lost to. The only guy that you've heard of that he's beaten is Johnny Bedford by guillotine, which I think Charles Johnson is just a smarter fighter. I think he's going to win. So, all right, we're moving on to Daniel Argueta and Isaac Dulgarian. And before we get to that, doesn't Isaac Dulgarian sounds like a
Game of Thrones,
like House of Dragons type of thing right here. So, let's let me hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, this one was super interesting to me. So the biggest thing is this one's at 145. So Dan, to get into the UFC, he took that short notice fight against Damon Jackson to get into the UFC at 145, and now he's sticking around there. I think that's of note because Dan was dominant at 135, especially in the LFA. Now he's sticking around at 145, and he's not a very big guy. He's a wide guy. He's got a wide body, but he's not a very big guy. Big for a 35er and aggressive and physical for a 35er. Very small for a 45er. Honestly, he doesn't offer almost anything on the feet, right? He's kind of running in, chin up all the time, and doesn't offer good almost anything on the feet. It's not like he's setting things up with a jab and crushing you with the two. Really, his striking is just a means to an end so that he can start grappling. But then you look at fights like the Diego Silva fight. I remember having a huge bet on Argueta, because he had looked so good in the previous two fights, and he couldn't even take Silva down. Okay, so now what are we talking about? Damon Jackson taking him down 100 times. So now what are we talking about? Now he's going against Isaac Dulgarian, who is a wrestler, right? He's a good wrestler. I actually really like his striking. It's clean, it's simple, but it's effective. I give the striking edge to Isaac. The wrestling edge, at least in MMA wrestling, I think is pretty close. Look at who Dan beat. Hold on. Do you have his record pulled up?
I do. I have him right here.
So he beat Myron Santos, and who was the fight before that he beat?
He beat Santos. He beat Rodney Mandala.
Okay.
Armbar. And he beat Jackson Filo from our gym before he was with us.
Yeah. That's a good win. But I went out to Colorado last year, and I saw Rodney. How do you say it? Mandala. Yeah, I saw Rodney, and guys, first of all, I was dying. If he ever wanted to get over on me, that was the time he should have rolled with me. But Rodney kind of avoided me like the plague. So, he's a blue belt at best, and Dan took him down. He has no wrestling, no jiu-jitsu, and Dan mauled that guy. So, that, whatever. Myron Santos, that kid's got a bright future, good striker, but not so good grappler, and Dan mauled him. The second you get a guy who could somewhat defend a takedown or stand back up, he ran into some issues. So, for me, give me the dog money all day on Isaac Dulgarian here.
So, Argueta, let me see. His loss is to Damon Jackson. He lost to Ricky Turcios on the show. That Ricky Turcios fight was the most telling thing to me because you've got a wrestler who could not take Turcios down really. And Turcios is not a great wrestler. He's scrambly and
he's a good jiu-jitsu guy, but not a wrestler.
Yeah. And Argueta doesn't know how to cage wrestle. He knows how to wrestle, but even that, I dug through and tried to find his high school wrestling. Took 4th in Illinois, was never a state champion or anything. Wrestled at I think UW Lacrosse or something. I forget exactly where, but was never a high level college wrestler or anything. Which whatever. His striking is not great, but he'll swing. He's tough. The Dulgarian, I can't even say that. I sound silly saying Dulgarian.
Yeah.
I feel like I should have
especially some dude from Kansas City or whatever.
Yeah, Dulgarian. So Dulgarian, the House of Dulgarian, he is a 2-time Kansas State champ, which isn't bad. It's not.
Is that a good state in the Pantheon? Probably not.
It's not a bad state in the Pantheon. Okay. It's not like a world beater, but it's definitely decent.
Okay.
And then is it Missouri or Kansas? I forget where he's from. It's one of those two, Missouri or Kansas. I forget.
That's notable difference, I think. Missouri probably a lot better.
Yeah, definitely better. But anyway, so 2-time state champ, but then he was also as a freshman, took second in D2 or D3. I think his school was D2. And then I couldn't really find much after that, but he was he was a much better college wrestler. He was a very good college wrestler. there's not a lot of tape on him. Every single one of his fights are the same. He's 5-0, moves a little bit, grabs him, blast doubles him, beats him up. But what we know about Argueta is I don't like a lot of the stuff he does. What we know about House of Dulgarian is that he does the stuff that we've seen well. The only issue here, so I love Dulgarian here. I love Dulgarian. The only issue, don't go so crazy, is how does he handle the adrenaline and the gas of being in the UFC for the first time? We haven't seen him past a couple of minutes of fighting. And so can Argueta push him? And then does he gas him? Is it like, that's the only thing here. I think I like Dulgarian. I mean, a guy who's wrestled at that high of a level, you would assume will do all of the right stuff. He's not being signed short notice to the UFC. They signed him, I think, in February.
Yeah, they went to the looking for a fight thing, and they signed him. And only one guy was supposed to get a contract, and he ended up getting it. So
and so he's taking his time. I feel like he's doing all the right stuff. He's at Glory with James Krause, so I don't know what that situation is like, what his training situation is like, since James may or may not be coaching people right now. So that's a question mark. But other than that, I like Dulgarian, especially at dog money.
So the only problem I have with Isaac is we just don't know how good he is. I mean, if you look at based on who he's fought, you look at all his fights, his pro fights. He's fighting in FAC, which is I don't want to say like fixed fights, but they're all but fixed. Like, it's just basically the Glory fighters show up and go collect a W, right? So that's his level of competition. These guys are being brought in for him to look good, but you can only beat who's in front of you, and he's beating them the way that he should be.
Yeah. It'd be one thing if he was beating those people in the second round, third round, going to a decision. It's like 2 minutes in, done.
Well, for example, Mike Breeden fought in Glory and went to a decision with 40-year-old Nick Compton. So, okay. So, there we go.
This is where we're at. All right, you guys. Next up, we've got Allan, Nascimento, and Carlos Hernandez. Am I up? You up? I don't even know who's up.
I think you're up.
I think I'm up. I think I'm up. So, I mean, we have Nascimento, who the biggest thing with Nascimento is, I think since we saw him, who was it against? Ralian Paiva in the Contender Series, his striking has gotten a lot better. I feel like he is just more comfortable. He's not like amazing, but he's better. He really is better. And I think his wrestling has gotten better too, where we always talk about jiu-jitsu not working, but man, I really like how Nascimento uses his jiu-jitsu. He doesn't try to be always a better wrestler. He'll shoot, pull guard, shoot, grab a leg, but then he uses it to get on top. He scrambles, he uses an omoplata, uses a leg lock, or he'll even shoot, pull guard, and then come up to a single leg and work for a sweep. Like, it's almost like he knows what he's not good at. But he also knows fight IQ. So he's like, hey, I'm not a great wrestler, but I know I have to be on top. So I'm going to wiggle my way a little differently, almost like Damian Maia. He's like, hey, I'll shoot, I'll pull guard, I'll come up half guard, and I'll find a way to win. Throws a lot in the breaks, good elbows, good knees, phenomenal jiu-jitsu. But more than anything, he's huge. He's massive. My biggest worry about Nascimento is that he misses weight, has a bad weight cut, and then has like a bad cardio issue because he's 4 sizes too big. Like, that's an extra large human trying to fit in a small shirt. So, and then on the other side of that, we've got Hernandez, who is tough. We've seen him. Who is Alta Moreno? So he just lost or beat Alta Moreno by split decision. The thing with Hernandez is he's I said this in one of the breakdowns I did on an early look. He's very, 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 very decent everywhere, but he's not really good. I don't mean he's bad. He just isn't like shine. He doesn't try. And more than anything with Hernandez, this is a really, really big thing is, do people try to win a fight versus not lose a fight? And I think like Hernandez is there, but he doesn't. What is his game? Is he a wrestler? Is he a striker? Is he a jiu-jitsu guy? Like, is he just a guy with cardio who will out-volume you? Like, I don't know who Hernandez is as a fighter. Nascimento, like, that dude is going to come and try and punch you and take you down and submit you. And even if he can't do that, he is going to try to finish you for 15 minutes at a time. Hernandez is just kind of there. And he does stuff well, but I don't really know who he is as a fighter. And I think that's a big deal. And I think his unwillingness to just throw it all out there, he's always going to win and lose close decisions that are just very unimpressive. But I think doing that with Nascimento, I think is going to be hard because Nascimento, I just think, is so big. He's so good. I I think Nascimento is gonna win this kind of handedly. I don't know that he's gonna be able to finish him just because Hernandez is really tough, but I think Hernandez is going to make it a much closer fight than it should be because he doesn't take those risks. And I think if he does try to take risks and try and win, I think Nascimento will finish him. But the style of Hernandez, I think, is going to be hard to finish. But I think Nascimento is going to kind of drown and maul Hernandez here.
So I originally thought the same thing. So first of all, I have a little history with Carlos Hernandez, obviously. So I fought Carlos Hernandez. This is crazy on his record. So back to back to back. Do you know who he beat three in a row? He beat Charles Johnson, who is fighting.
Yep.
He beat Jose Johnson, who just got signed to the UFC and won on Contender Series, who's like 6'5". The kid is huge. And then he beat me back to back to back. 3 great wins. I mean, that's a tough amateur record. And then he fought international. He was the world champion in the IMAF, right? So Carlos got a lot of experience. And then he fought everybody under the sun in, Titan FC and all kinds of stuff. The more that I was looking at this, so originally I was like, man, Nascimento is going to kill him, right? First of all, let's talk. He is massive. I use myself as a gauge. I think I'm a pretty good size flyweight. I'm about 153 pounds right now. So I'm 30 pounds over the weight class. I'm 5'7". I feel like I'm a huge flyweight. I'm tiny compared to Nascimento. It's insane. Like, he is so big. It is crazy. I don't know how he makes the weight. And Carlos, although he's the same height as me, he is just skin and bones. He's tiny. So the size difference is going to be massive. It's going to be almost comical. They're going to look a weight class apart. But, the original read on that I thought was, Nascimento gets him down, controls him for the entire fight. I don't know if he'll submit him. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. But the more that I'm watching, I think we're getting a little bit of recency bias here, right? You had Jake Hadley who likes playing off of his back, right? So the second that he got taken down, first of all, has almost no takedown defense. And the second that he does, now he's going to chill there for 2-3 minutes trying to throw up omoplatas and triangles. It's feeding right into Allan's game, right? Then he went against Tagir, so he got taken down, played off his back, and honestly, you can make a case that he won that fight. He's very dangerous.
I have watched that fight back numerous times because, Tagir has fought. I thought Nascimento won that, and the thing that
I did too.
The thing that impressed me about him is he got taken down, but he would find his way on top. He kept getting on top.
So I get all that, and those are two big prospects, Tagir and Jake, and I think they were trying to see where Allan falls in the ranks of these guys, right? And, obviously he's got the connection with Charles Oliveira, but I think the style of this fight is just so different. Victor Altamirano, although he's not very good, he doesn't fuck off either. He's just always going to be in your face, always throwing something, doing some stupid shit that makes things closer than they need to be. I will say on Contender Series, he fought Daniel Barres, who is very good. Daniel Barres is very good. He could be in the UFC today, and he would hang and beat a lot of people. I can see a world where Nascimento is going for takedowns, and the one thing we've always said about Carlos Hernandez is he doesn't let his hips settle. The second his butt hits the mat, he's like a spring. He's back up. So I can see a world where Nascimento tries 1 takedown, 2 takedowns, 3, 4, 5, 6 takedowns, and now he's dead tired. I mean, that's a big boy. And, you say, who is Carlos Hernandez as a fighter? I think he's the flyweight version of a Dustin Jacoby. Just kind of does everything well, makes the right decisions, doesn't make a lot of mistakes. But, DJ is not going out there knocking everybody out. He did earlier in his career, but now he kind of jabs and low kicks you till you mess up or you screw up. To me, he's flyweight Dustin Jacoby. And, at these odds, man, I really wanted to like Nascimento and play him huge and use him as a parlay piece. But, I fought Carlos. Carlos is a smart kid. He watches a lot of tape. He knows what Nascimento is going to bring. He's fought jiu-jitsu guys. I kind of like Carlos here.
Really?
I'm going Carlos.
Carlos is tough. He's very good. His unwillingness to just lay it out, I think, is going to be the difference here. Whereas Nascimento is going to try to win at all costs. And I think the safety of Hernandez is just, I don't know. I like Hernandez. Look, he's very good. He's probably a very nice guy. He's a very unmemorable fighter. Like, all of his wins and losses, like, are you ever like, wow, that was an amazing performance?
Never, but you don't always have to be.
But he never has that. Like, go back and watch all of his fights, and you're like, all right, they're there. Like, that's a fight where you go grab a snack.
Yeah,
like
but
hit his fights.
We're talking about X's and O's, and we're talking about money. And I think playing Nascimento at minus 425 is bananas for a guy who is, primarily a submission guy and has the possibility of gassing out. He's had favorable matchups and guys who are willing to play on their back or willing to play in the grappling. Carlos doesn't have to, and he's not going to. He's just gonna strike, and he's gonna move for 3 rounds.
All right, agree to disagree. Okay, we've got Mateus Mendonca and Javid Basharat up next. 2 undefeated boys. Who you got? What's going on? Brazil versus, where's Javid from? Afghanistan or where? Fighting born in Afghanistan, fighting out of England, but now he's at Extreme Couture. He's been there for a bit. Give us your thoughts.
This fight bums me out. I hate this fight. This fight really bums me out.
Why is that? Don't be sad.
Well,
what do we got to do to make you happy, Brandon?
Well, the reason I'm bummed out, let me tell you why.
Tell us.
I'll tell you why.
Tell me why.
I like Mateus. I like Mateus a lot. I think this guy is good. And watching the film, honestly, I don't see many holes in his game, right? There's no, when you watch film and you go, okay, this guy gasses out every single fight, or this guy accepts bottom position every fight, or this guy just gets hit and gets chinned every single fight. I'm watching the film and I don't see any glaring hole. So to me, this is 2 guys that, are actually very, very good. I can't remember what fight it was. Maybe it was Khalid Taha and Sergey Morozov.
Okay.
And I remember the announcers just talking about how high level of a fight that it was, not being a ranked fight at all. And these guys are just so good, and that's kind of what this fight reminds me of.
I think it was Nurmagomedov and Sergey Morozov. I think that was that. How
every fight Morozov is in, I guess. And maybe it was Raoni too.
I think it was both of their first fights in the UFC or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe it could have been
several
Taha
fights, but
yeah.
I think it was Taha, the one that I'm talking about. And it's just, those are 2 really, really good guys. I think Mateus is going to have a long future. I think the kid is actually very good. Like, he doesn't accept bottom position. I saw him get taken down. It's hilarious. He showed good hips and good takedown defense on double legs. And then in one of the fights, he just got pushed over with like a simple trip takedown. It was pretty embarrassing, but he worked hard, fought to the top, doesn't show signs of awful cardio. He swings with power. He stalks guys down. Like, the kid is going to be solid. He's only 23 years old. And then you swing over to the Basharat side. People are nuts in their mouth about Basharat. Like, people cannot get enough of Basharat. And I do think that he is very, very good. Especially in that last fight against Gravely. He looked amazing.
He looked good. He looked really good.
His jab is solid. Everything is solid. The only thing that I worry about in this fight is just styles of fights. Basharat will play on the back foot. He will play with his back against the cage and let guys walk him down. He does take damage sometimes. And Mateus can swing. I think really the path to victory here for Basharat is actually his grappling. Him and his brother do such a good job of getting you going with these jabs up top and then switching in their level changes. And they level change better than most of the guys I've seen in the UFC. Their jiu-jitsu, I think, is excellent. So I like Javid to win here. I'm just sad about the matchup. I wish they weren't using Mateus as kind of that feeder for him. I wish it was somebody else and give Mateus a layup.
I wonder why they're doing that. 2 undefeated guys, pretty young in their UFC career. Like, that's my only issue. Not only issue. I've got 1,000 issues. I'll say that's my only issue on every issue with the UFC. But they don't build everybody the right way. Sometimes, which for fights is exciting. You kind of want that. I mean,
because this is a good matchup. It's a good fight.
It is a good matchup. But you kind of want to see people get built separately and then have them fight for a title or fight, stuff like that. So you just see them kind of mishmash and fight sometimes. And I'm like, gosh, why? Like, why make them fight these guys so early? There's a lot of guys on the roster who these 2 could beat up and send those guys packing because they've got too many people on the roster anyway. Yep. Cut them with losses to Javid and, Mateus separately.
Mateus knocks the guy out in 20 seconds, so let's feed him one of our top prospects on the roster.
Yes, exactly.
Nice.
So I like Mateus. He's got a good one, too. That's his best combo. He's really athletic. You see, a lot of times he defends takedowns with just his athleticism. He's got good balance. He moves well. So that's a lot of it. But the other you know, I mean, I think you hit pretty much everything. The difference, though, is a stylistic fight. And this is, for you kickboxers out there in fight land, MMA, you've got to learn to move. You can't just plod forward. And if you are going to plod forward in this kind of stomp, stomp, stomp Muay Thai style, you've got to press your opponent enough to make them uncomfortable, and you've got to throw on them as you're going forward. We see so many people march. All things considered, the person backing up is going to win. He's going to win more exchanges than the person moving forward, unless the person moving forward really knows how to throw with volume and cut angles.
Yep.
Exactly. Because otherwise, the person backing up, if I throw a punch and they back up, well, I miss the punch. So you've got to like overshoot the punch, and you've got to overload them so the counter isn't there. Mendonca, is that his?
Hey, some things never change,
Mendonca,
even in the new year.
Man, even in the new year, Mendonca, whatever. Mateus, he just moves forward. And that's great if you have two guys willing to stand in the pocket and Muay Thai fight, but Javid's not going to do that. He's so fast with his kicks. He's going to touch. He's going to move. If he wants to mix in the grappling, he will. Where Mateus, actually, I really like him a lot, is in the clinch. He has a really good Thai clinch, but he doesn't do a lot of damage there. He wraps people up, but he's not elbowing, he's not kneeing. He controls, he pressures, he keeps them there. I think Javid is going to play tag with Mendonca more than Mendonca is able to land 1-2s. And I think this is I think the over here is an easy play, over 1.5, over 2.5. I like Javid here for a close fight that is Javid's fight. That it's not like...
Totally agree.
Like
crazy. I think he's a good parlay piece this week.
All right, next up we've got Mateus, Rebecki against... I moved. Nick Fiore. Man, so Fiore's coming in short notice. He's 6-0. He's a jiu-jitsu guy without great wrestling and without great striking against a bowling ball of a human who is not a great striker, but will throw big looping punches into blast doubles. And then when this dude gets on top of you, he does not stay tight and stay chest to chest. He swings to try to murder. I don't even think this is close. I think, man, welcome to the UFC, Nick Fiore. I think Mateus is going to put a beating on Fiore here. I don't think there's a lot to be said on this one. I think it's pretty one-sided.
Yeah, I try to be devil's advocate on every fight and try to find, okay, well, what is the possible way? And the only conclusion that I can come to, first of all, in Mateus' Contender Series fight, he fought an awful guy, and he got head kicked and almost kneed. It was kind of bad. His striking didn't look great in that fight. But then you go a few fights before that, I mean, he looks awesome, like you said. He's throwing bombs. He's throwing body kicks super, super hard. His wrestling is good. The only thing that I can find is he's just such a ball of nervous energy. Even standing striking, he's just shaking and shaking and shaking. It's just it's this tightly wound ball. When is it coming? When is it coming? And it makes, it's nervous energy. The only thing that I can see happening is him going so hard, trying to finish and trying to show everybody how good he is, that he gasses out. But even then, it's hard for me to imagine a world where Nick Fiore can get him down, submit him, ground him out, even win a decision. I don't, we're not saying anything groundbreaking here because of the odds, but I see everybody looking for a play here, trying to go with the over 1.5 because Nick's a jiu-jitsu guy. Possible, sure. He's just so unathletic. I think Rebecki inside the distance is the play here.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch Fiore on anything other than makes it to the cage.
And even that, who knows?
Yeah. I mean, not to be mean, I just don't see it's not like his wrestling's not great, his striking's not amazing. I'm trying to find a
so
play
unathletic.
Here. And Rebecki is just the dude is tough. He's good. Like it's just a solid
level of competition. Yep. And not all black belts are created equal. When you guys hear like the words like Renzo Gracie black belt, it's not like they're all coming right from Renzo or Danaher themselves. Yeah. There's a lot of Renzo Gracie black belts. They're not all built equal.
There's a lot of middlemen in there, a lot of intermediaries.
Yeah, philosophy is not always the same. Like if this guy was training at the Blue Basement every day, maybe we're having a different conversation. But I don't think that's the case here.
Yeah. All right, next up we've got Abdul Razak Alhassan against Claudio Ribeiro. I think you're up.
Yeah, this is an interesting one to me. So, I'd seen some guys. So shout out Dan on Twitter, Best Fight Picks, my bald friend who makes love into the microphone. He already made a play on Claudio Ribeiro. And I said, oh, man, I'm right there with you. I'm going to drop a bag on Claudio. I thought it was a different Brazilian. I thought it was a completely different Brazilian. I thought it was the Brazilian. Maybe you guys know this. Put it in the comments. He fought in Contender Series this last year. He went 3 rounds. I think first round he dominated. Second round he got clipped, and then he ended up finishing the guy in the third round and looked amazing. Like kind of a jacked up, strong Brazilian guy. I thought it was him. Claudio Ribeiro knocked the guy out in like 10 seconds. I don't like this fight at all. I don't think Claudio is very good. I think his striking is amongst some of the worst. He's just so loopy. He's got no semblance of grappling. He falls over, gets pushed to the cage. He doesn't have great cardio. I can't. This is a tough one for me. I can't believe the line is as close it is. Could I see in a world where he clips Razak? Yes, I could. But to me, team elevation has changed people. We look at Rafa Garcia, and I tweeted this out earlier. Rafa was doomed to be a very middling can crusher Mexican guy that just had, whatever kind of skills and would be the king of Combate Americas.
Oh, people hate on Rafa Garcia. I think he is good, man.
So that's what I'm saying.
Think he's good.
He went to team elevation. Yeah. He got a real camp, and now he's a legitimate guy in the UFC. He's winning fights, and you know what you're going to get with Rafa. He's very good. I think the same thing with Razak. I lost my biggest bet I ever made betting against Razak when he fought Alessio,
yes.
So every fight I try to get this back, right? And I bet big on Buckley against him, and man, that was a close fight. Razak looked way better. You can say, oh, he hasn't won a fight since 2018 other than the Alessio fight, but that fight with Buckley is the biggest one to me. I think his punches are tighter. I think he throws with power. I think he's got grappling upside. I think he's fought much higher level competition. I think I really like Razak here, and I hate to say that. He's old. He's got cardio problems. He's got a million things here and there. I just don't think Claudio's very good at all. So I got Razak judo.
I never thought I would say bet the house on Razak Alhassan. I am 1,000% with you. Like,
wow.
Claudio, like the dude punches on his back foot. He's off balance. He just swings. He sneezes and he falls over.
Now the knockout was nice. On Contender was crazy.
Yes, absolutely.
Was crazy.
But like, Alhassan, he has tighter boxing. I think he has better power. I think he has a better chin. He can wrestle. He's gone 3 rounds. I think that's not a guy that you want to bet your life savings on most fights. But I think he is better than Claudio. Can he lose? Absolutely. I mean, he can swing. Anytime you fight that puncher.
Puncher's chance.
That's exactly.
But his rudimentary skills are not very good. If we're going tape for tape and skill for skill, Razak is just better.
He's just better everywhere. Honestly, I think his cardio is better. I think his fundamentals are better. His wrestling is better. His fight IQ is better. I think his chin is better. I think his power is better. I like Alhassan. Jeez, I can't even speak anymore. I can't even. Abdul. But that's Abdul Razak Alhassan. Like, dude has 7 names, and I don't know which one goes in front of which. All right, so
I mix them up. Who cares?
Anyway, Alhassan, I like in the spot, and I like him a lot. I never thought that I would say I like Alhassan a lot.
I said my favorite pastime is betting against him, and for a while that was pretty nice. And all of a sudden, here we are, and I'm like, man, this guy is not on his level.
Man, I like him. I liked his wrestling against Buckley. I mean, he got taken down, but then he got up, he defended.
Came on in the 3rd round. Like, wow,
did a lot of stuff.
Who would have thought that?
Yep, he really did a lot of stuff well there. So I like him as well. All right, next up we've got Umar Nurmagomedov and Raoni Barcelos. Am I up? Are you up?
This is on you.
Okay, so Raoni, we all know Raoni. We love Raoni. Raoni is really good. He's really good everywhere. One of the biggest issues with Raoni has always been injuries and inactivity. And I think if he were active more when he was a little younger, I think he would be at a higher echelon of the game. And I think he would have had some better chances and maybe fought for a title and all of this stuff. Just injuries. And then, something like this happened with Luke Sanders, okay? Our guy, I love Luke. He's one of my favorite people on the planet. He was 33, 34, had full-blown ACL surgery. Mm-hmm. It's like a year and a half out, and then he came back. And that coming back that much later in life versus 24, 25, it's just harder. Yeah, you're just stiff. It's just not the same. And I think Raoni is his own worst enemy. Genetics are his own worst enemy in terms of his injuries and stuff. So I don't think Raoni is ever going to be known as or lived up to the potential that he has for how good he is. We saw him beat Nurmagomedov.
Yep.
Who is not the same Nurmagomedov as the rest.
Completely different style.
Yeah, kind of different style. Raoni is good. He's good everywhere. The issue with Raoni is that he doesn't do enough. His output is so low, and when he moves forward, he waits to counter without setting it up. And against a guy like Umar Nurmagomedov, Umar, first of all, is fast, and he moves, and Raoni does really well in the pocket. When people want to exchange, he's firing. He's going. That's not Umar. Umar kicks and then moves, and then kicks and then moves. He is not going to throw in the pocket. The only time you really see Umar throw hands is after he kicks. If people try to crowd him and swing, well, he'll kind of check hook or throw something to keep people off of him. But that is not a guy that you're going to get exchanging in the pocket with punches. He kicks and he moves, kicks and he moves. Beautiful kicks from all sides, really fast. And then, of course, we talked about it earlier. Brazilians on the cage defend takedowns so well. Nurmagomedov, he's one of the few people who will shoot on the outside and can actually wrestle on the outside and put people on the ground. Doing that, his speed, his movement, his age, his athleticism, being out in the open the way that he can wrestle out in the open, and then against the cage, even if he can't get cage takedowns, I think he's functionally good enough on the cage to do all of those things really well. I don't think he's going to put Raoni away just because Raoni is just so tough. I think it's going to be very similar to like a Nate Maness type fight without being anywhere near as dominant. I think he's going to touch and move. I think he's going to be very similar to the Javid Basharat fight. He's going to out karate, out point, out move, get a takedown, maybe finish the round with a takedown, finish a round on the cage, finish a round on top, ride some riding time out. Raoni does the right stuff and gets back up or can not get finished. I think it's going to be a pretty, I don't want to say close in the sense of like it's a split decision and maybe Raoni could win it, but I think they're going to be 10-9 rounds.
Round to round, it's close, but there's a decisive winner.
Yep, exactly.
And it's going to be Umar.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
that is so unfortunate because, we've gone on and on about Raoni, and I still want to. I think Raoni is... It makes me sad that he's not like a top 10 guy or he's got a number 5 next to his name because skill for skill, I really think he is there. I mean, the guy is incredible. His hands are great. His kicks are great. He can wrestle his ass off. His jiu-jitsu is world class. I mean, the guy really is the goods. Injuries, and I think, how old did he just turn? 35?
30, let me check. I think 34, but...
No, he just turned 35. He just had a birthday. I'm pretty sure he just turned 35.
Yep, you're right. Yes, he's 35. He'll be 36 in May.
Okay.
So,
yeah, it just is sad because I really do think Raoni is one of the best in the world, and he has fought every single tough guy in the world. Look at his last 10 fights. He fought half of Fight Ready, Bobby Moffett, Dan Moret. He fought Timur Valiev. He fought now he's fighting Umar. He fought Said Nurmagomedov. I mean, just the guy is fighting murderer's row of everybody, and he never says no to a fight. And that's to his own downfall, his own detriment, right? He keeps taking these fights, win, lose, and he's just treading water as far as in the UFC. When skill for skill, I mean, the guy is so good. we're not saying anything groundbreaking here. I think Umar's going to win. I think he takes him down. He ends up getting him down, that sheer aggression. Kicks on the outside. I think you're exactly right. If there was ever a good dog to take, I guess it would be Raoni, even though I don't think he's going to win. The skill discrepancy is not a lot. When I like to take underdogs, I like to take the ones where the skill discrepancy is very close, but for whatever reasons outside of that, they're giving money to the favorite. But for me, it's going to be Umar, as sad as I am to say. I hope he doesn't finish Raoni, and I don't think that he will, but I like Umar here.
Yeah, I don't think he will. I mean, but just seeing, you want to see if there's holes or, in somebody's game that you can exploit or this or that. But then you watch, we talked about it earlier, the Sergey Morozov fight. Those two are so good. And then Umar just wins second round, rear naked choke. He just gets it done. And then actually a fight earlier, we know this name, but gosh, it's just seeing stuff like this just gives me anxiety. Sadia Cup Kakramanov. Earlier in his career, Kakramanov is good. He's a good wrestler.
Very, very good, yeah.
And just seeing him beat him earlier in his career the way that he did, he just, Nurmagomedov really is that good. He's just that freaking good. So,
all right, what do we got next?
We got Kelten Vieira and Raquel Pennington. You're up.
Okay, I see a lot of MMA Twitter is split on this fight, which I think usually means don't bet it, probably. Man, this fight is so hard because Kelten has all the physical tools. She's big, she's nasty, she's mean. She's got a good jab, good snappy punches, and a lot of times she just leaves a lot to be desired. She doesn't pull the trigger when she should. She doesn't cut off the cage when she should. She doesn't grapple when she should. And I think on the other end, Raquel steps up to the challenge a lot of times. We keep thinking, man, she looks so stiff. She looks so boxy when she throws punches, and she does this. But, man, she throws down. It's funny. When I started MMA, I actually started with Raquel, and I think I say this every time that she's fought, 3 or 4 times over the last year. But in Colorado Springs, Colorado, I started with Raquel when she was a losing fighter going to Hawaii to fight Bellators, and, she didn't know her way. Man, she's come a long ways. I wonder how the baby thing is gonna affect her.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
They're having a baby.
Yeah.
I know it affects guys a lot, right? It always affects guys, and that's something when you're capping that you should always kind of look into. So I wonder how that affects Raquel. It's a lot on your mind. It's a lot of a lot of just extra stuff. I think this fight is Ketlin's to lose. I think she's bigger, more physical, and I think she's got the tools. But man, this is just a pretty even fight for me. And I honestly didn't tape this one too much. I would need to spend an eternity on this fight to find the slightest edge. And even then, I still think it's kind of a coin toss.
I'm with you 100%. The bet here is the over. Whatever the over your book has, over 1.5, over 2.5, fight goes to a decision.
Yep.
Man, Raquel's boxing is solid. It really is solid. It really, for a while it was like her boxing, but then I was like, I don't know about her wrestling. I think she can get dragged down. And then we saw her with Misha, and she stood the test, and she's doing the right stuff. I think that my brain says Kelten checks all of the boxes.
The younger fighter, the one they're trying to build.
She's huge. She's has the takedown. She's mean. She does the right stuff. It says that. But Raquel is just always, she's rocky. She is always against the odds. And I like her boxing. I like her ability to do damage and hurt Kelten versus Kelten. I like her ability to get a takedown and ride it out. And
that lost her before. Remember, she had Yana Kunitskaya's back.
Yep.
For 3 rounds.
Yes.
And lost.
Yep. But my issue with this fight is, so you guys, I'm very, 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 very biased here. So, I think it's a coin toss. I think bet the over. I think all of that is just logic. I really freaking thought she lost against Holly. And I really do, man, watching that fight, I'm really mad that the judges gave that to her. And so I'm really like, man, Pennington's going to win. She's got to do it. We need to be righted. That really grinds my gears. So take that with a grain of salt. I think it's a very even fight. I don't know why you would bet it.
Other than an over. And then watch, we're going to bet the over and then something's going to happen. Like, it always works that way.
Who is it? It was Stephanie Eggers. Armbar.
Oh, yeah, Jessica Rose Clark.
And we're like, over 1.5 here.
Easy, yeah.
Wah, wah. All right, we're done there. Let's get to a more interesting fight. Puna Soriano, Roman Kopylov. I think I'm up. I think people shit on Kopylov a lot, but I don't hate him. Like, I think he's one-dimensional, and he's a one-dimensional boxer. But man, he is really fast. He has really fast hands, really fast 1-2s right down the middle. When he tries to like pepper too much, like it's not great. But when he starts firing, man, like I like his boxing. I like his movement. His takedown defense isn't. It's like. Let's look at the. Was it Duraev? Is that who he fought last?
Yeah. No, he fought one after that.
Gosh, who was it? Alessio Di Chirico. But it was Duraev before that, and he was actually defending the takedown, and then he grabbed the fence and they started him on the ground, or they started him in a position, and then Duraev got the takedown. Mm-hmm. But before that, he was actually defending those takedowns. And then once they started him kind of in that position, restarted him in there, then Duraev got the takedown, kind of controlled him, and then he gassed hard from the grappling after that. But he was doing the right stuff before that. But I like him. I think people have been shitting on him a lot for this. Puna on the other side is just a power guy, man. He comes in, he does have good boxing, but that's a guy in your face swinging, cardio issues as well. I wouldn't say cardio issues, but definitely fades. He's that he doesn't have cardio issues, but he's not the same round 2 and 3 as he is round 1. What impresses me so much about Puna is, well, first of all, his wrestling against Maximov was actually really solid. He did really well there. I thought he won that fight. He lost it, but I think if he had just disengaged or not gone front cover so many times and like
cut him.
Around,
just cut him.
Yes, yeah. I think he was a little too arrogant in his own wrestling. My computer is dimming. I don't know if that's gonna mess us up or what. So, just little stuff like that against B. Allan. He looked really good. But he ate a billion middle kicks. All right, and so people, I heard people talking about, if Kopylov middle kicks him, if Kopylov attacks the body. But see, the thing is, Kopylov doesn't attack the body. He doesn't kick. He's a boxer. And what Puna does so well is he closes distance. Holy shit. His ability to close the distance against like B. Allan and swing and throw is phenomenal. And Allan is 2 or 3 inches taller than Kopylov. I like Puna here. I think this is a good spot for Puna to shine. I could see Puna even getting the finish here, but it wouldn't surprise me if it went to a decision. So I like Puna. I think the power of Puna, and Puna is just more dynamic. He has more ways first of all, I think he's more athletic because, look, Kopylov looks like me, and we're just too white to be athletic. Puna's got the power. I think he's got the wrestling. I think Puna is just getting better and better. I really, really, really like the speed of Kopylov, and I like the clean technical boxing of Kopylov. But I think I like Puna here to kind of shine.
Yeah, I think this is a showcase spot for him. The one thing about Kopylov, and just fighters in general, right? When you have a style like Kopylov has, where you have to go through hell to end up getting your win. Like, look at every fight that he's been in. Di Chirico, he was getting his ass beat in the first round. Duraev put a beating on him, and Carl Robertson beat the shit out of him. When you have to go through hell every single fight to sometime be in the fight, eventually that's going to go. And, I think this was an easy one too with Dusko Todorovic. Didn't he fight Puna?
Yes.
And I said Dusko does the same thing. He's always chin up in the air. He gets by on this like crazy, wacky movement, and nothing is conventional. And one day he's going to pay the piper. And it was pretty easy to see that Puna was going to be the one. I think Kopylov is a lot of the same way. You're dead on. He's got very fast hands, and I think he's underrated. And he's going to win a lot of fights by going through hell, waiting till the guy gets tired, and then he's going to put it on people. And I love that about Kopylov. I never think he gets the respect that he deserves. That being said, I think this is the worst matchup for him ever. You get big Puna bombs right on your chin. I don't think he's going to be able to walk through hell. I think that Puna's going to be able to put it on him. And Puna's not like Maki Pitolo. He knows how and when to give it all. He'll give it all and then he'll relax, and give it all and then he'll relax. He has the wrestling upside. You know, he was a very good wrestler in college. I think this is a showcase spot. Is this at the Apex?
Yes.
I love when they give the extreme guys at the Apex. I think somebody always knows something in Vegas, and they say, yep, this guy's doing well, that guy's doing well. Let's give them favorable matchups at the Apex. I think this is Javid and Puna. That's a great parlay. Go ahead and add that. I think this is a spot for him to shine.
Nice.
And I like him by finish, too.
Yeah, I like it. Now, next up, we've got another Extreme Couture guy, another Hawaiian who knew Puna as well. And I may cut this, but also used to main events. So, we'll see how this goes.
Well, let's just speak vague about it, and we'll see what the news cycle does, and we'll see how everything shakes out. We'll speak vague.
Okay.
Because we're not talking about the main event anyways.
No, we're not talking about that. Kelvin trains with us. So there's that.
So this is our main event.
Our main event anyway. So yeah, actually it's the show's main event. Dan Ige, Damon Jackson. Man, Damon, I always want to shit on Damon for so many things. And I can't. I mean, he beat our guy Cachoeira. All right. I hate making excuses. Cachoeira was sick as shit with the flu, and we never mentioned it. I mean, we didn't mention it at the time. I think post we did. But Cachoeira will never tell anyone that he's injured or hurt or anything. So I didn't even find out until after the fight how he was feeling.
He's the most frustrating human on earth. He will have a leg chopped off, and he'll go, I go, how you feeling, man? Oh, I'm good. Never been better.
No, I'm good. I'm like, dude, stop trying to tough it through. He shouldn't have taken the fight. So, anyway, but Damon Jackson, the dude is 22-4. I mean, he got knocked out by Ilia Topuria, who there's no harm in that. We know now how good Ilia is. And then he got knocked out by Moved
who also is amazing.
Who's amazing. Yeah. Flying knee is kind of a freak thing. But man, he's beaten so many good guys since. He beat Mirsad Bektik. He beat Charles Rosa, who we always kind of shit on, but Rosa's tough. Beat our guy Cachoeira, beat Argueta, and then he beat Sabatini. And man, I just, it's crazy. But he wins and he does stuff, and he's kind of a bigger guy. Then on the other side, you have Ige, who is 15-6. He's lost four of his last five. Lost to Calvin Cater, beat Gavin Tucker quickly. Lost to Zombie, lost to Emmett, lost to Evloev, all by decision in all of those. The thing that worries me here is I don't think Ige's wrestling is anywhere near as good as people think it is. And I said it when Zombie trains with us, of course. And when I said it, people are like, oh man, how is I said it on podcasts, people would interview, like, man, go back and find it. People were talking about, well, what about the wrestling? How is he going to defend Ige's wrestling? I said, look, Zombie is going to completely out-wrestle Ige. I said, if it was a pure wrestling match right now, Zombie is, tech falling Ige or pinning him. Like, this is not even a thing. And we saw him just take him down, out-wrestle him, take his back. I mean, that was domination of that sort. Now, and then I think after that, I gave him his black belt.
Yeah.
So I think that was one. So anyway, so you have that. On the other side of it, you've got Damon Jackson, who's big like Zombie. I mean, he's a big guy. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see in round one, he kind of pulls a Zombie and kind of throws him down and
big
controls
him.
Yeah, if he big bodies him. I don't think he's going to finish him. You know, I mean, he's just Ige's good. Ige's hard to finish, so I don't think he finishes him. Striking, I think, goes to Ige all day. And actually, power, people have, like, a lot of people have said Ige's power is just unreal. Like, Zombie was like, that is one of the hardest hitters I've ever. Yeah, Zombie said, he's like, man, he hit me, and he's like, they call him dynamite. I mean, he's like, he has dynamite in his hands. He's like, it really was jarring. And we were like, dude, it didn't even look like he got hit with much. And he's like, that might be the hardest puncher I've ever fought, which is kind of crazy. So, I mean, I think all that said, Ige, of course, has a better cardio. He has a better striking. I think all in all, as a whole, I think he scrambles well and wrestles well, but I think Damon Jackson is just a better cage wrestler. I think he's bigger. I think he's just, he's the leech, man. He really is. That said, the cardio, that goes to Ige. I think in a 3-round fight, I think Damon Jackson's got about 7.5 minutes in him before the tide really turns. I think Ige may lose 1 round, and then I think he really starts to put it on the end of round 2, steals a round, and really puts it on round 3 if he doesn't finish Jackson.
Maybe 4 and 5.
Rounds 4 and 5, if they were to fight 4 and 5 rounds.
Hypothetically, in our show's main event.
I think that you could possibly think Jackson's going to get maybe 2 rounds, and then it just completely sways heavy against Ige because of the cardio. I mean, Jackson has cardio issues. He fades out pretty hard anyway. And then you have Ige, who is used to 5-rounders and who doesn't. So I like Ige here in our 5-round main event. Who do you like? What do you got? Why?
I think I'm going to love Ige here. I know Ige is small. Is he 5'7"? He's my height.
He's like 5'3".
Yeah, he's a tiny guy, especially for the weight class. And like you said, Damon Jackson is pretty big. And I do understand what you're saying is, Damon came right out against Argueta, who's supposed to be the wrestler and grappler, and took him down with a body lock right away. And I could see that happening times a million. But I think at the end of the day that Ige is a good enough scrambler. He's losing to guys who are top of the division, guys that are fighting for titles or will be fighting for titles, where Damon Jackson is beating guys on short notice. He's beating Charles Rosa in a grappling match where he's dead tired. I think it's almost impossible to compare the two resumes. One's got all wins, one's got all losses, but just level of competition is not close. And, that being said, I thought Ige won the Emmett fight. I thought he's had a lot of good moments in a lot of these big fights. I think style-wise and judging-wise, this is a perfect showcase for Ige. I think Damon can take him down, and if he doesn't finish him right away, Kamala was sick for that fight, and then Argueta, was a tiny guy.
Short notice 35er.
Who
isn't as good of a wrestler
as we think.
As people think he is.
Yeah. And then even then, Argueta gave him trouble, gave him hell. Even Charles Rosa gave him hell in an all grappling match, and he was exhausted. Part of the reason that cardio fades in fights is you're going from the grappling back to the striking, back to the wrestling, back to the striking, and it's going both back and forth, makes things tiring. I can grapple for 45 minutes, no problem. Any day of the week you pull me aside, I can straight grapple 45 minutes. Striking, I can do 100 rounds, no problem. When we start mixing the two, that's when things get interesting. And I think he's gonna try to take Ige down, and Ige's just got such crazy scrambly hips and so good with that. I think he's got much better striking. I think the power is going to wane Damon off. I think this is where we see Damon come back to reality a little bit. That Sabatini one hurt my heart. It really hurt my heart.
It's crazy how I
like Crazy Pat.
Yep.
And that one hurt my heart. But I think we get a bounce back to reality here. On the Discord, I had mentioned it on the opening line when Ige opened as a dog. Obviously a little less enticing now as a favorite, but I still like Ige. And, hypothetically, if this was a 5-round fight, I like Ige even more. Style-wise, judging-wise, power-wise, skill-wise. You got the Extreme Couture Connect in the Apex, like the Hawaiian thing. How cool of a picture would that be if Puna and Ige both win after that the old picture they took so long ago? So for me, give me Dan Ige all day.
Yeah. All right. Well, you guys, that's pretty much it. We have Kelvin Imavov on the main event-ish. Kelvin, the only thing I'll say about that is Imavov is very good. He's very technical. He's very good. We've seen him. And Kelvin is, he's been with us now. I love that guy. Like, he is like a space cadet. He's actually a lot smarter and a lot more clever than I think people give him credit for. He's pretty funny. He really is a solid human. So that's pretty much it, you guys. I mean, that is the show.
Ringing in the new year in the new studio.
We'll update some stuff. I think the lighting we've got to mess with a little bit. We've got to get a producer in here. We've got some technical stuff that we'll kind of mess and modify. We're going to kind of switch, get a multi-cam situation going on here. We're just going to make it better and better and better and better and better. So all of your money, the billions of dollars you guys pour into us,
goes to pinky rings and lighting.
Goes to pink. Yeah, it turns out Brandon has never won any money. It's just all of the Patreon money. He's just
$1 million cash.
Yeah. It's fake watches, fake clothes. I mean, actually, all the stuff up there is actually all just toys. None of it. The books aren't even real. They're just like
actually
covers.
All wallpaper.
Yeah,
the books aren't real. They're wallpaper.
Turns out it's a green screen. Everything's fake. Everything is fake. Everything. Do you want the blue pill or the red pill? Yeah, there's day one in the books in the studio. We've got some modifications to do and some messing, some lighting stuff, some technical stuff on our end, but we will definitely get better. I actually had a thing for any of you guys who are even listening this late. I actually meant to mention this earlier. We don't have any sponsors, for the show. We had some bookies, but I'm kind of staying away from the bookie stuff with the betting and, stuff with stuff and stuff.
If the bookies are listening, sponsor me, and you can just have a contract only with
Sponsor Brandon. But I was actually thinking, we're like, brought to you by this, brought to you by that. If there's any sponsor, any products that you guys like, that you, or it's just stuff that you need out there, like what are good stuff? Like, what stuff would you want to see us sponsored by that you actually like and need, so we can try to get sponsors for you, and then maybe get a promo code or a discount or something. Like, I don't even know.
We will sell our soul. I have no problem for a good check.
Yeah,
I'll sell my soul.
I'll sell my soul for like $20 and a lemonade. Like,
done.
I'm in. So, that is that. Day one. Wraps.
Hey, one last thing, guys. We have this neon sign here. If anybody can do custom neon sign work, please shoot me a DM on Instagram. I would like to maybe get like a custom one for the show.
That'd be fun.